Everybody, it's 5:30. Do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, moving to the consent agenda, roll call 2.1. Please note all members are here. 2.2, conflict of interest. Hearing none, we'll move to 2.3, review and approval of the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda.
Okay, motion by Moulton.
Second.
Second by Lohr. And then we just go through these items, don't we? And we approve it at the end, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Approval of the minutes, August 11th.
We need an all in favor for the agenda.
You're correct. All in favor of the approval of the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approval of the minutes, August 11th.
So moved.
Motion by Lohr,
Second.
second by Moulton. Questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 2.5, receive financial reports for August of 25.
Thank you. The general fund reported $1.4 million in revenue, primarily from state aid and federal dollars, with expenditures of $3.18 million exceeding revenue as expected for this time of year, resulting in an ending cash balance of $6.6 million. Capital outlay activity was driven by major project payments, including air conditioning work, athletic complex construction, and summer projects, leading to a planned decrease in cash to $2.27 million. The Special Education Fund saw improved cash levels at $3.53 million, supported by state aid and $298,000 in federal revenue. Lake Area Tech generated $3.6 million in tuition and fees, with $2.1 million in expenditures, resulting in an ending cash balance of $6.92 million, below last year's level. Financial aid activity remained high with strong LATC enrollment. The Employee Benefit Trust experienced a seasonal decrease in cash of $2.89 million, with claims and administrative costs exceeding premiums for the month. Premiums are expected to rise in September. K-12 nutrition activity increased with the start of school, ending with $157,000 in cash, while Arena Concession and LATC Bookstore reflected normal inventory cycles. Arena's cash decreased to $17,539, while the bookstores increased to $1.13 million. LATC Food Service activity was in line with expectations, maintaining a cash balance of $309,000. LATC Educare reported $63,000 in revenue, but higher expenditures due to playground improvements, ending with $451,000 in cash, above last year's level. Driver's education, preschool services, and custodial funds reported minimum or routine activity for the month. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions from the board? Okay, motion. Do we approve this, Heidi?
Nope, you just move on to student staff
Yep.
recognition.
Student 2.6, student and staff recognition.
All right, we are in the presence of royalty this evening. Maybe you noted that. We have with us Katie Liedebrand. She is a 2025 graduate, and come on up, Katie. So in January in Aberdeen, Katie Liedebrand was the Watertown Area Snow Queen and Miss Congeniality, and she represented Watertown at the state festival, winning the state title, Snow Queen, and also Miss Congeniality. Get this, Watertown has not had a state senior Snow Queen title since 1993. She was also Watertown Area's Junior Snow Queen in 2022 and State Junior Miss Congeniality the same year. Both as a local winner and state winner, she has won scholarship funds to help in her education to become a nurse through SDSU, and my understanding is she traveled north this evening to come celebrate with us. So the Snow Queen program looks for a candidate who is in good standing with her school and community, has a high moral character, and likes to support her school and community with leadership and volunteer opportunities. So congratulations, Katie. And we want to show you off here. You got to
Smile for the camera.
Thank you very much for coming tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
That's all I have for this evening.
Okay, we'll move to item 3.1, public input on agenda or non-agenda items for LATC. Okay, 3.2, notification of the joint meeting with the school board and the LATC Strategic Advisory Council. October 30th, that's at 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock. And you'll mention, we'll get an email on the location
Yeah.
on that. Okay, let's go to item 4.1 personnel, 4.11 resignations.
Very good. Working off of the blue sheet with the updates for tonight in front of you, we have 2 resignations for your consideration tonight and would recommend your approval as those are presented.
Okay, entertain a motion to approve these are resignations.
Move that we approve the resignations as listed on the blue sheet.
Okay, motion by Rossman.
Second.
Okay, second by Rammel. Questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 4.1.2, contract recommendations and addendums.
As is normal at this point in the year, you've got quite a list in front of you that includes filled openings at Educare, in our ag department, and food service. It also includes training for faculty in the month of August, and then a variety of adjuncts, lab aides, test administrators, some mechanics, corporate ed instructor contracts, and some hourly as needed positions with childcare and parking attendants. So would recommend your approval as those are listed before you.
Okay, entertain a motion to approve the contract recommendations and addendums.
I move to approve the contract recommendations and addendums as listed.
Motion by Rammel,
Second.
second by Rossman. Questions, comments? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 4.1.3.
We come before you tonight asking for authority to hire 1 additional teacher at our Educare daycare facility. This is a position that we budgeted for in the FY26 budget out of Educare, and as the daycare has grown to about 80 kids in our care, it's time to add a teacher position on to ensure that we've got the ratios correct in all of our rooms. So this will be for the 1 to 2-year-old Wobblers room, and will fill in as a full-time position. We'll continue to use part-time hourly staff to help support that instructor. Would recommend your approval for that authority to hire.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the authority to hire.
So moved.
Motion by Rossman,
Second.
second by Rammel. Questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 4.1.4.
We have 1 staff member who, over the course of the summer, took some advanced courses towards another degree. 3 credits for reimbursement are before you, and we'd ask that you approve that as it's presented.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the educational stipend request.
I'll move to approve the educational stipend request as presented.
Motion by Rammel,
Second.
second by Rossman. Questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Let's go to 4.2.1 on property. A change order number 4 for the surgical technical renovation.
Very good. Before you is a change order that includes 2 modifications to the Surge Tech remodel. 1 modification was to install power for the automatic doors going into operatory suites, and then 1 was to reposition a mounted sprinkler. That brings with this change the total contingency to $24,024.76. The total contract then changes to $983,240.24. The modifications themselves just total $659.84. So would appreciate your formal approval of that modification.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve this change order number 4.
Mr. President, I move that we approve change order number 4 for surgical tech.
Motion by Moulton,
Second.
second by Lohr. Any questions, comments?
Isn't there going to be a grand opening for this?
There will. Thanks for the question. We are planning tentatively a grand opening and ribbon cutting for the Surg Tech operatory space on Tuesday, September 30th. The details are still coming together, so we'll make sure that word gets out and folks have a chance to come and check out the brand new facilities there.
Thanks.
No volunteers needed to,
No volunteers needed that day.
for the surgery.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Let's go to 4.2.2. Equipment lease agreements.
In your packet, you'll find a list of 16 leases proposed for equipment in our heavy equipment operator and our professional pilot program. Just a couple of notes of what's included in there. There are 12 no or low cost leases for the entire calendar year to support students' learning. There are 3 short-term leases that are only 3 or 4 months long that are at market rate, and really appreciate the opportunity to use those pieces of equipment rather than paying full freight to own the equipment. And then we have a lease agreement with Aberdeen Flying Service for an airplane for our professional pilot program at an hourly rate. And so the total cost across 12 months for all of those leases in total will be $167,305, and those are budgeted for in our department contracted services budgets.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve all of the leases as listed.
Okay, motion by Lohr,
Second.
second by Moulton. Any questions or comments? I want to thank those institutions for their generosity. Multiple no lease cost leases. Yeah, it's very, very much appreciated. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 4.2.3, authority to purchase.
We had one qualifying bid, or one sole bid, come from Harlow's Bus Service for a semi-tractor for the ag program. This is for the farm that students work at. The bid price submitted was $39,000. That will be funded through an equipment grant through the state of South Dakota, and what they provided to us in the bid meets all of our specifications. So recommend your approval as presented.
Okay, entertain a motion to approve this purchase.
I move that we approve the purchase of the semi-tractor as presented.
Motion by Moulton,
Second.
second by Lohr. Any questions or comments?
I notice it's a 2020, so do we, when we advertise the bid, do we ask for a 2025, or do we actually accept something within a few years of that?
Great question. It often depends on what the needs are. If it's something that's going to be heavily traveled, usually we do something that has lower miles and not necessarily a specific year. In this case, it's not a lot of miles that students put on, but a really important piece of being able to do the farm work. So the 5-year-old version is just fine for this purpose.
Okay. Low mileage, okay. Thanks.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. 4.2.4, authority to purchase diagnostic scan tools.
Thank you. So the diagnostic scan tools will be used in the automotive technology department, and the tools themselves would be Snap-on brand at a rate of $55,000. These would be purchased through a negotiated contract with the state of South Dakota, so it allows us to get a very reduced rate in the contract. $55,000 is what we would be able to access them for through equipment grants, and that's about half of what it would cost at market price. So really appreciate being able to use that state negotiated contract.
Good. Entertain a motion to approve the purchase of the diagnostic scan tools.
I'll make a motion to approve the diagnostic scan tools as presented.
Okay, motion by Lohr,
Second.
second by Moulton. Any questions or comments? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. 4.2.5, authority to bid.
And this is the last of the equipment-related items for tonight. The authority to bid would be for our dental program, some radiography equipment and operatory instruments. The purchase of these items would help to stand up the dental hygiene program when the accreditation is finalized, and to ensure that we have enough equipment for the program that has grown tremendously in dental assisting. We're estimating the total cost to be $300,000, and these would be funded through equipment grant dollars as well.
Okay. I entertain a motion to approve this authority to bid.
I move we approve the authority to bid for the equipment as presented.
Okay, motion by Moulton,
Second.
second by Lohr. Any questions or comments?
When is the hygiene program projected to begin?
It's a great question. We have submitted all of the accreditation information to CODA, which is the Commission on Dental Accreditation, and we are waiting to hear back when our site visit is going to be scheduled. Dental programs under CODA accreditation, it's the only national accreditor for dental, have to be accredited before the program can have any enrolled students. Some programs like Surge Tech, we were able to enroll students and accreditation had to be finalized before the first graduating class. This one's a little different. We have to have accreditation before we can enroll students. So we're just waiting to hear when our reviewers can come and we can finish out that process. So we're hoping for this time next fall that we can have students enrolled, but that's up in the air still.
That answers my next question, which was, is an on-site accreditation review?
It is.
Very good, thanks.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. 4.2.6, architectural and engineering contract for the student center renovations.
Thank you. We're seeking your approval tonight to move forward with the architectural and engineering agreement with Co-op Architecture to start the renovations to our student center. Back in April, when we talked through the 2035 master campus plan, we talked about projects needed to come in a certain order in order for us to do construction in an efficient way and make sure that nobody was left without a home in the process. And so this is the very first step in realizing the 2035 campus plan. It would allow us to take student services that are located around our campus and centralize them to the 500 building where Market 65 is currently located, but it would add to that services like the library, campus life, all of the services that are in our current net location. The testing centers on campus would come into the 500 building, as would adult education. Bringing all of those services to the 500 building will allow students, no matter what area of campus their programs are housed in, to have a very central and high activity experience in the student center. And it would also make sure that for services like the testing center and adult education that include some of our students going to those services and the outside coming in, public coming into Lake Area Tech, easy access as it's right along 13th Street. What we're looking at in our contract with Co-op would be a total agreement over time of $245,000 to do the full architectural and engineering suite. They would bill us in phases. Phase 1 would be $61,250, and that would allow us to go through the design and schematic process so that we can dive into fundraising for this particular project. And so really excited about kicking off the 2035 Master Campus Plan and working with Co-op to get the details in place so we're ready when the funding package comes together. I'll stand by for any questions that you might have about that project.
A lot of this is up in the air with funding, but I mean, what would be a timeline?
In the most ideal world, and don't hold me to this, we would get funding together over the winter of 2026. Lake Area Tech is prepared, like we did with Surge Tech and the dental remodels, to put some dollars into that project. But if we can raise the funds in the winter of 2026, we would be able to, over the course of the rest of 26 and into the spring of 27, renovate the student center and open it for the fall of 27, the 27-28 school year. That's if everything falls into place really quickly. We'll have to adjust if that all doesn't come together this winter, though.
I'll entertain a motion to approve this engineering and architectural contract.
So moved.
By Laura?
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
Second by Moulton. Any other questions or comments? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 4.2.7.
Come before you tonight asking for your approval to move forward with revisions to our agriculture program. I'm going to share a bit of history and a lot of where we're headed with the agriculture program with your blessing. Agriculture program is a long-standing program on campus, one of our top 3 largest enrollments on campus. Today was Census Day. We'll have enrollment data for everyone, hopefully by the end of this week. But ag has traditionally been one of those top 3 largest programs on campus. About a year ago, executives from around the region in the ag industry came to us from all corners, from livestock, from precision ag, from the agribusiness support sector, to say, let's take a look at what we're doing within the ag program and make sure it's best aligned with industry. What they shared with us is that human interaction, interpersonal communication skills, and really specialized skills to the ag fields within the overall industry were really important. Right now our ag program is structured as one general ag program where all students take the same curriculum in the first year. In the second year, they can choose from one of 6 options. And what the ag executives were sharing with us is the industry has changed so much in the last several years. More specificity is important, more specific skills are important for students to have as they graduate. And so between that ag executive group and the advisory committees that met over the 24-25 school year, they honed in on changing the program from one general program with 6 options to 4 individual ag programs. Still sharing some credits, but not necessarily an entire year's worth of content. So the proposal is to move to 4 distinct ag programs. One is precision ag technology. So think about all the precision applications in the agronomy industry, crop management, equipment technicians, sprayer and applicator operators. The second program would be production agriculture. So think about the students who are interested in owning a farm or a ranch, or having knowledge in a combination of crops and animals and business. Production is the most general of the 4 options. Agriculture business would be for students who are interested in ag sales, working at a cooperative, in process or in business management or ag banking. And then the 4th option would be livestock production and management. And think about the students who are interested in working at feedlots, working as ranch managers, animal nutritionists, or working in animal genetics. So those 4 areas have really been identified and driven by the ag industry, from the executives to the managers and the specialists or the technicians that are working in each of those 4 areas. With your approval, we'll move these proposals and the changes to the State Board of Tech Ed at their October meeting, and then the changes would take effect a year from now for the 26-27 school year. I'll stand by for any questions that you might have.
I was just going to comment, it's really nice to hear that it was really a partnership between the market and you all at LITC, seeing the value of that. Has it been just a general ag, not just, I don't want to say it that way, a general ag program since its inception? There was no, I mean, historical questions may be tough, but
I can share with you what
Yeah,
I know,
yeah.
knowing that that's not the full run of the ag program. In recent years, the shared first year curriculum allowed students then to dive into 6 specializations. So there's been livestock and dairy, and you're going to put me on the spot and make
okay.
sure I can get all
No.
6 of them. But that's really how it worked,
Okay.
is that in the second year then they were able to get a little bit more content. But what we heard from industry, to your point, has been a partnership, is that just that 1 year isn't in all cases enough to really understand the entry-level requirements for ag positions.
Sure. So these would all be 2-year programs?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
And that was my question, with the 6 specializations that were previously there, there's not anything that's lost, right? Because there'll be cross into those 4.
That's correct. So currently we've got the livestock option and dairy. Now the livestock production and management option would include both beef cattle, other species as well, but also dairy cattle.
Okay.
So they get the full breadth of livestock production. the commodities option and the ag business option would be coming together,
Okay.
combined in a way that makes sense for what the industry's looking for.
Makes sense. Okay.
Do you anticipate changes in staffing for this, or?
At this point, the only change that I would anticipate in staffing is if we grow in student numbers, we'll need to add staff on. But knowing what they've heard from industry already, our faculty have started making adjustments to courses in line with what they're hearing in terms of needed skills and knowledge and experiences. So the current staff is to be commended for really jumping in and even making evolutionary adjustments on the fly before we would move to a full program structure change.
It's certainly one of those programs that has to be flexible because the industry changes. You know, the precision agriculture is a great example of something that didn't exist 10 or 15 years ago.
How would it impact current students who are in a program this year?
Yeah,
And
from an
then change, like-
accreditation
yeah.
standpoint, the agriculture program doesn't have a program accreditation. It falls under our institutional accreditation. From a course outline standpoint or graduation requirement standpoint, whatever year a student starts is the outline they have to follow all the way through. So we'll have a transition year with this change in 26-27, where we'll have some students who are under the course outline that they started this fall, while the new program will apply to incoming freshmen in the fall of 26.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Well, thank you. We'll entertain a motion to approve these program revisions in agriculture.
I move we approve the revisions as explained and presented in
Okay.
detail.
Motion by Moulton,
Second.
second by Lohr. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving to item 5.1, public input on agenda or non-agenda items. Okay. I would ask that you would identify yourself.
My name is Ann Konovic. Do I need to spell that for you guys?
No,
Okay. So I've already gotten a phone call from Dr. Bush where I was right, but I still don't understand why I had to wait until 2 weeks into the school year to be right. The background is my family and I moved here in 2024. I had contacted Dr. Bush in March of 2024. He already knew that Jaden was coming. And Jaden really enjoyed his classes here at Watertown and he made friends very quickly. He was on the football team, track team, but 7th grade was an entire year of review for him because he had already learned this stuff in Aberdeen in 6th grade. And then I asked his math teacher, and the reason why he loved Mr. Taylor was because Taylor taught him stuff, but he could tell that this was easy stuff for Jaden, so he gave Jaden extra work to do that he wasn't even teaching Jaden, and Jaden was able to do it. And so at the spring conferences, I asked Mr. Taylor, what class should Jaden be taking next year? He says, algebra. Jaden can absolutely do algebra. I was also finishing my college degree. He's 13 years old, 7th grade, and he's tutoring me in my college math homework. He can do it. He's got friends that will call him from out of state to help him with his math. They're a year above him, they're a year with him. He's got a cousin in Aberdeen. Again, she's a year ahead of him. She's calling him to help her with her homework. And we get the schedule. Jaden's not in algebra. So I called and I'm like, why is my son not in algebra? Well, we have 2 different math tracks, and Jaden missed the assessment because he wasn't in 6th grade here. You knew Jaden was coming in March. That's April, May, June, July, August. That's 5 months right there where you could have done the assessment. As soon as we said, Jaden not learning anything, we should review for him, that should have been a clue for him to do the assessment. Never happened. He had let Jaden take a math class and said that Jaden had to pass with an 80% to take this algebra class. Okay, how come the kids that are currently taking algebra got an entire year of instruction? Jaden gets none, got a 33% on the assessment, and he's still not in the algebra class. And this year, He's taking the classes, he's learning new things, but he's still bored in his classes because the work is too easy. Only twice last year he brought home homework. He was gone for an extended period of time for a state swim competition, and he was sick for an extended period of time. Other than that, I never once saw my son bring home homework. And I asked him, how come I haven't seen you bring homework this year? I'm getting it all done in class. And I'm like, okay, so why are we not doing a better job supporting each other? Because if I'm telling you that something is too easy for my son, and it's your job to educate and prepare my son for school, why is there not a meeting of the minds until I ask for when the school board meeting is, and all of a sudden I get to talk to Jeff Daniel? That doesn't make sense why that happened. Like I said, Dr. Bush already called and said that Jaden will be moved into algebra tomorrow, but I'm not happy that you guys took 2 weeks to see that I was right, that my son can do algebra and that he can be successful. When I talked to one of the counselors, he was like, well, we don't want to put him in there, it's too hard, and then in October we're calling you to tell you that we have to move him to the other class. One, I'm confident in my son's ability. He can do hard things. I will not be getting that phone call. And two, he can, even if you guys did have to make that phone call, at least he had the chance to try it.
Okay. Thank
Now, you can't go back, obviously, but there needs to be a better way on how you guys handle transfers.
Okay.
Especially when you have that advance notice. That's 5 months.
Thank you. We do have a 5-minute limit. Sure.
Yeah, you're good. That was all I had.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else wish to have public input on agenda or non-agenda items? Hearing none, we'll move to 5.2, Northeast Tech High School report.
Yes, I'll just mention to the board members on the Northeast Technical Board that the meeting is on Wednesday, the 17th at 5:45. And then we'll bring up Mr. Follick. He's going to give us, actually do 5.3.
Okay, 5.3, Northeast Tech High School and dual credit highlights. Mr. Fallis, thank you for being here.
Good evening. Thanks to Dr. Danielson for inviting me to give a little update to the Watertown board from Northeast Tech. So as you know, we are your technical high school. We have 600 students that are walking through our doors each day from the 7 schools, and you have a PowerPoint in front of you, and I will just kind of go along in the PowerPoint, and I have the clicker here, so I'll just move right along. And we're trying. All right. So just a little introductory information again. So the map there is just showing you that we have instructors and programs in 3 different buildings. And so our main building is just a couple blocks away, where we have 6 programs there in our office. And then if we come a couple blocks south, we move into 2 buildings at Lake Erie Tech, where we have 4 programs. And then in the high school, we come back where we have culinary and woodworking. So teachers in 3 buildings and moving around, and that's okay, because as many of you know, I don't really like to sit still, so it gets me out of the office to get moving. So the next page on your sheet then is just a quick summary, shows the out-of-town schools. It has all of the teachers and just about all of the CTE classes that we offer. And so that's just for reference. If you wanted to go back to it, I'll just move on to the next slide then. So, once again, our 7-member schools, and this co-op of schools started in 1971, Lake Area Multi-District, as most of you remember. And so then the next page is the ownership page. So I'll spend a little time on this then. So a lot of numbers. Why don't you go down to the Watertown row, and I'll walk that through with you. So the ownership of Northeast Tech, okay, is contingent upon 8 through 11 enrollment. So last September, when the numbers are official, I gather the 8 through 11 enrollment from all the schools, and then I put it into my spreadsheet there. And so you see with Watertown, then it was 1,214. And then that determines your ownership percentage. So if you're scanning the whole document, you see then, a Castlewood then with 115, they have about 6.5% and so forth. That ownership percentage then dictates how many total slots that each school gets. So a slot is one block all year long, and so then, as you can see for Watertown, then you have 400 from this last one, and then that's not exactly course seats and it's not exactly students, but we'll kind of cover some of that as we go through it. So then you can kind of see then as you're scanning that page, then by far Watertown with about 70% of the ownership there. You have the majority of the slots, as one might imagine, and then you can see Great Plains comes in there as our second largest and so forth. I'm not going to read the whole slide, but you kind of see how that works. And it just gives you a comparison from year to year and so forth. So now that 400 slots, remember that. Now the next slide then, now if we jump into allotted slots for Watertown in this slide now, you're going to say, well, you just told me 400, why is it 449? Well, Watertown has the additional exploratory program, so we add on 49 additional slots there. So then, now this is the fall enrollment report. So Watertown right now has 466 enrolled out of 449 slots, and you might say, how is that possible? Well, we are a co-op, and any unused slots by other schools are shared. So right now, Watertown, you are looking very strong with 104% utilization. So that is just the percentage of slots that you're using. So as you're scanning that document, then you can see what percentage each school is using. And so Castlewood at 97%, that's solid. And then Florence is up a little bit from last year about their average. GPL is down a little bit. Henry's up a little bit from last year. Summit is about their average. Waverly South Shore is down this year. Okay, and then when we get to the bottom, then we see an overall utilization rate of 93%, which is actually really good. The 10-year average on that is 88%. So we're looking really strong on that at 93, one of our best enrollments in the history. So last year was just a little better, our best ever, and so it's very strong. So if you slide over to interns, then this program has been revitalized over the last 5 years, and so then we're adding those in, and then when you add in the interns, you get your utilization went up a little bit there. So very, very strong enrollment reports. And so then now remember your enrollment, that 466 number, and I'll go on to the next slide. So now you see your enrollment by program. So I break this down because I'm giving this presentation today. And so on the bottom you see your 466. So now if you walk it through, I'm not going to go through all of the numbers, but you have a very strong utilization, okay, in most of the programs you're over. So you're using, again, slots that other schools are not using, and it just has worked out that way this year for you. Other years, some schools use more, you use less, and we just share them back and forth. And so, again, very strong numbers this year with that 104% utilization. Now, when I scan this sheet, a number that pops out to me is, of course, a negative. I see that 70% on automotive. And, well, why is automotive down this year? Well, it shouldn't be. And so automotive this last year was actually one of the highest demanded courses, from our, and so the next slide is actually some of the registration numbers from last year. And so these 11 classes are very commonly over a 200% demand percentage there. And if you look at it, you'll see that automotive last year in March, Watertown, you had 37 slots. We had 180 requests from Watertown. We had another, and we had not only another like 40 or so requests from out of town, but then also I had 20 out of town on a waiting list as well. So we had 200 requests on a waiting list, and now we start the school year with 7 open slots. And so that's frustrating, but that's what happens when you have 7 schools trying to come into one. And so why does that happen? Well, students change their mind. So we started the school year and someone is just like, no, my schedule changed, I don't want to take it this year. Or it simply could be that out of all of our schools, that student simply didn't show up to one of our schools and they're out of district. Rarely now does a student start a class and say, no, this isn't for me, because we do a lot of work beforehand to make sure that, that doesn't happen. But that happens sometimes. But anyway, your numbers are fantastic. So a little bit of history for you. Watertown's utilization rate for the last 20 years sits right at 94%. So you, again, this year at 104, that's fantastic. So you're using your slots. And that doesn't happen by chance. So I would like to give thanks to Mrs. McClemens, her staff, the assistant principals, and the counselor's office work hard to make this happen. And the counselor's office, they have my cell number, I have all of theirs. We are constantly trying to get students into classes where they belong, and we have gotten to that point. So that is very good. That 104% there is strong. And I also, at this time, it would be remiss for me not to mention and give a shout out to the Northeast Tech teachers and the staff there. As you know, all of our classes are elective classes. Students don't have to take them, but our classes are full year after year, and we have repeat students that take courses from us. And so our teachers, they're teachers at heart. They have an expertise in a field, and they're inviting to students, and they get there. And our classes are, obviously for some of our classes, students understand that they're going to be busy, hands-on, out of a desk, and that's, encouraging to them, inviting to some of them. And our teachers doing a good job of getting those tasks done. So compliments to them. All right, moving on then. So we are about careers. We're talking to students about what are you going to be doing in just a few years from now, how are you going to get there. We have an emphasis on that in all of our classes. And so it's about that career. So we talk about it, and then how do we make it real? Well, work-based learning is a very common term in the CTE world. So work-based learning, what are we doing at Northeast Tech for that? Well, every program, if not every course, students are going somewhere. So I have a listing of about 100 different places over a 3-year span where throughout our entire school where students are going to visit a industry, a business, hands-on, see what's going on, so that can I maybe be doing that 5 years from now. That could be a program at Lake Area Tech, it could be Terex, it could be the fire department, it could be numerous places at the hospital. They go and they check it out. Then as we go down this list, it just gets more involved. So a 3 to 10 day job shadowing were they go, they maybe can get their hands dirty a little bit on that and get involved. So we do that like with our education students, we do that with healthcare students, we do that in various programs. Then the next level are mini internship or field experience where they're off 5 to 6 weeks. Now they will have some tasks to do. They will get more involved. They will find out, can I do this, for 10 years of my life? Do I want to do this? Is this right for me? And sometimes they find out, yes, it is, and many times they find out, no, it's not, and that's a win too. And so that happens all the time. And then the fourth one, our internship, then we've grown that program over the last 4 years. So on-site, observe, participate, and actually work in a particular field. And so the next slide then talks a little bit more about that. So like right now, the Watertown numbers are about 31 interns, but by the end of the year, that could be 40. So now this is more involved, where in order to be in the internship, you have to take at least 1 semester or a whole year from us. And so we're placing students with experience. So, if they're going to go weld or, work as an auto tech or, so forth, they've had that background from us. So that makes us a little unique in the state where we can offer, our industry partners a little bit more, skill advancement than some towns. So that's an advantage for us. And so the listing there is kind of in order. of involvement. So like this year, right now, it's looking like we'll have about 10 interns going at various places in town. Obviously our primary partner is Paradise Healthcare with the hospital. When they job shadow at the hospital, they have 35 departments that they will do the whole shadowing of. They'll get exposure to all of those during touring and shadowing. I will not run down the whole list, but in the last 3 years, I counted over 50 businesses, entities, schools that our students have been to over in just the last 3 years. I will point out machining. For 5 solid years, we have 6 to 8 machinists that have been on industry floors machining throughout the summer. Okay, and again, mainly manual work there, manual mills and lathes, but some CNC work to some of our more advanced students. So again, a lot going on there, and then again, a credit to our teachers because they are managing all of these interns on top of their regular classes. So next, just a little bit about dual credit, more things that we're offering there. For years, we've had a setup with Lake Area Tech and the other technical colleges out there. You can kind of see the list of technical credits that we can offer with 1 or 2 semesters of work there, maybe 3. And so we thank Lake Area Tech for constantly working with us to make those offerings to our students. In addition, with our biomed program and with our engineering program, we have some university credits that can be offered, and these are the least expensive, most flexible credits out there. With all of Watertown's dual credits and our dual credits, we offer students lots of options on that. And I have some new ones to announce tonight that you may or may not know about. Maybe saw some press releases from Mount Marty on this. So back in, I think it was when I found out about December, maybe for Dr. Danielson it was November, but Dean Nick Shudak from Mount Marty reached out to Watertown High School and was like, let's do something for teachers, student to teachers through education pathways. Let's try to grow teachers in state. Let's introduce students to the teaching field a little sooner. So we sat and we had many meetings. Mrs. McClemens was in on those as well. Mrs. Walker was in, of course, Dr. Danielson. And after a number of meetings, Nick came he was determined to, to get this done for this coming school year. And I was kind of like, whoa. But he pushed and we tried, and so we landed on 3 courses then that you see on the screen there and on your paper. So a child and development class. Since Mrs. Stu was already teaching development, it just fit in very nicely into our curriculum, and that's also one that we offer with Mount Marty or with Lake Erie Tech to a smaller degree. To add an orientation to teaching from the high school here with Mrs. Kelly Brinka, and then back to Mrs. Stu for some field experience. We were already offering that, so you can kind of count up the credits there. And so if I would go back in time, we had a senior a couple years ago that when they graduated, if we would have this in place, would have earned 9 credits that all would have been able to use in their education program. So when we started the school year, I was hoping for maybe 12, and so we had 34 students sign up for these dual credits. So that's a win. And I'll make additional points about the development course that you see. Yes, we're trying to encourage students to learn more about, teaching, young children, but that development course would be able to transfer into about 85% of any 4-year degree programs as a social science. So that's a win for all of our students. And right now, Mount Marty's dual credit rate is $60 a credit. So for $180, that is a steal. And with one just finishing college and one in college right now, I know that that's a steal. So, parents take advantage of it. Very well served. That's a big win. And then my final point on this would be, again, to thank Mrs. McClemens. You have to thank the counselor's office because this was messy because we kind of got this rolled out after registration was going. So there was a lot of work behind the scenes to make this all work. Also would thank Nick from Mount Marty, and then Heidi Schooley from Mount Marty, and of course Mrs. Thu for sitting down and getting this all worked out. So
That one really, we are grateful to Mount Marty because they had to do a lot of the back end. I mean, our
Yep.
work was in the scheduling and guiding kids towards the courses, but really figuring out how to match up the syllabus and the teacher credentialing so
Yep.
that their accreditation is not impacted on it. So we are grateful to Mount Marty for kind of bringing us this opportunity. And we've talked about like our Educators Rising program
Yep.
and the need to kind of grow our own teachers. So it really fit nicely. And obviously they have a vested interest in
Yes.
having a Mount Marty Watertown, thinking that if you kind of build your reputation with them, that maybe they'll stick around or get their degree through that. So, but I think it's our students who are the winners
Yeah.
out of this. And
So great addition there. So
and even to Mrs. Brinka for adding the course.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's a new course we added
Yep.
out of that. So.
yeah. So that is, for the most part, my update. I have some things to give. So obviously to the Watertown School District, who is Northeast Tech's primary partner. I mean, all of our buildings you own and the land that we're on, so we appreciate all of that. Within the Watertown School District, appreciate Dr. Danielson inviting me in to be part of the administrative team, so we're always on the same page. Already mentioned Mrs. McClemens and the assistant principals and their work, the counselor's office. Mr. Tim Cruz in the IT, they help us out in my building over across the street there, so we appreciate that. And all the principals, elementary principals, middle school, intermediate, for the work with our students that shadow and do our field experiences. We need their help and we appreciate it. Obviously, we have 4 programs at Lake Erie Tech and all the work that they do for us. We have a great partnership there. Should mention Prairie Lakes Healthcare System, not only because they allow over 130 students or so a year to come there, the Northeast Tech ones to come there and get that training, but in addition to that, in the last 2 years, they have given our HOSA group, which is Future Healthcare Workers, gifts of $10,000 or more a year so they can do their national competition, and so we really appreciate that. And then finally, as you I think all know, we build a house each year, and Cashaway Lumber is the sponsor of that. They take care of all the financials. We say, hey, we need the lumber now. We build it, and they sell it, and then they move it off, and it's a great partnership. We couldn't do it without them, and so we appreciate that continued support. So that's all I have. Any questions for me?
I was going to ask about the new dual credit opportunities of Mount Marty.
Yeah.
You said you were expecting maybe 7, is that what it was, 17?
I was hoping for 12.
12.
Yeah.
And you got 34.
34,
Did
yeah.
you have to cap it, or was that, you still could have had more?
Well, we actually, so it was somewhat complicated because we are still, for this last year, we are still running quarter classes.
Oh.
So the problem was the overlap in second quarter. So we have greatly overloaded that that one class, and so next year it'll just be easier.
Okay.
But with a little bit of overloading there, we're fine.
Good.
But yes.
And then my other question was, how do you prioritize? I'm kind of learning all of this still
Yeah.
about Northeast Tech, but with how much demand you have, and you said the register or the interest, I don't know what the list was.
Oh, so
how many people
great
want
questions.
classes, but
So
then how many actually get in?
For the most part, it's set up by first come first serve.
Okay.
And so then with Watertown, the way that is set up is that so like it's usually the last week of January, right in there. Numerous emails and notifications and announcements will go to this year's juniors. Okay, and then it'll say you have your Northeast Tech sign up during advisory at this time. Okay, so get ready, get the advisory and be ready to, and if any student needs any assistance with that, they can go to, to the counselor's office or to the administrative office and they'll assist. And so it'll hit, and then they sign up, and then, really within 5 minutes we'll have hundreds of signups. And that's how that goes. Then once it all shakes out, and then now, like we have, sometimes we have a list of 300 on a waiting list, but then when the schedule is finally made, some of them are just automatically pushed out because it didn't fit in their schedule. And then we go from there. And then basically when we roll into like when school is starting, then it's just like, okay, it's more of a free for all of like, you know, we're going through that waiting list as long as we can until like, okay, now just go in, you know, and it just kind of works that way. So.
Are you seeing that from the other schools too? That the demand is way higher than the allotted spots available?
From what I see from from our out-of-town schools, it's a little bit more of some years, and it depends on the class. But some of the programs that I listed on the one slide, those are solid every year. And so, I mean, we could double our welding instructor. You know, right now I could almost double my healthcare, my health science instructor. And so, in the last like 3 years, and I know it doesn't show with auto, but you know, we have solid numbers in auto across. And so, yeah.
It seems like a huge opportunity for growth, if possible.
Yes, yeah. There's opportunity there, but right now it's space and it's and it's just number of employees. Yeah.
I'd like to thank our businesses that participate in the internships. That's a wonderful thing for our kids to be able to get into their industry and see what it's like.
Yeah, we sit down if they're new to it, and the instructor and I, and we talk to them a little bit about expectations. Then also that if they're, for example, if they're going to weld, okay, we want to see growth in those skills, okay, and they're all for it, and it's worked out it's worked out very well for a number of years. Yep.
Any other questions? Oh, thank you very much for
You're
the information. We are 5.4, first reading of policies, and there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, we have some tonight. The first one is BBB. This is a change as reflected from the state legislature this past year on the elections. We did set the date per the legislative change, but we needed to update our policy about the annual school board election shall be the first Tuesday after the first Monday in June. That's the election one. EBC, the emergency plans, we just updated the terminology. The old word or phrase in there was Safety Management Procedures Handbook. We are referring to it as an emergency planning guide. So that was substituted there. Next is EBCE, emergency closings. We added the section on postponements to that. Then EDB, protection and care of school property. Previously, the only indicated parties were the school employees. This just adds language about the board, the superintendent, and the school principals also having a requirement to care for our school property. And then we move into transportation. EEA, student transportation services, is simply reviewed. No changes recommended. And then EEAA just updated the terminology to students with disabilities. So all of those are first readings that would be brought forward next month for your approval as second readings.
Okay, let's move to item 6.1, approval of the bills. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the bills.
Motion by Lohr.
Second.
Second by Moulton. Any questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 6.2, personnel.
Thank you. Got 6 resignations there that I would recommend for your approval, please.
Okay, entertain a motion to accept these resignations.
I'll move to accept the resignations as
Okay.
listed.
Motion by Rammel,
Second?
second by Rossman. Any questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. 6.2.2, contract recommendations and addendums.
A handful of lane changes for staff that have taken credits to increase their lane change or their pay there, as well as a few hires. I would recommend your approval of those as presented.
Okay, entertain a motion to approve these contract recommendations and addendums.
Move that we approve the contract recommendations and addendums as listed on the green sheet.
Okay, motion by Rossman,
Second.
second by Rammel. Any questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. 6.2.3, consider educational stipend requests.
These four staff, these are for classes they took this last spring or summer and have passed those classes, and we recommend your approval for credit reimbursement.
Okay, entertain a motion to approve the educational stipend requests.
I'll move to approve the education stipend requests.
Motion by Rammel,
Second.
second by Rossman. Questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6.3.1, property. Consider the Presence Learning contract.
Yes, this agreement is with Presence Learning to provide our virtual speech language services for the 25-26 school year. This is at an estimated clinical service fee of $383,760.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve this contract.
I move a motion to consider the present learning contract as explained.
Okay, motion by Lohr,
Second.
second by Moulton. Any questions or comments?
Just for the board, this is in place of, in person. So if we would have applicants for speech language pathologists, we would still look to hire them to help fill those spots. So
And
just,
we have how many openings right now for those? Okay, so shameless plug again, live
yes,
on the line
so
that
this
we're
is,
looking for those.
this is
Yeah.
filling that
Replace.
need, and Dr. Bollinger's done a good
Yes,
job
just
of,
keep saying it,
of,
yes. Yeah.
where this is allocated and where it makes the most sense for the virtual, but we certainly would prefer in-person
Yeah.
speech services.
And then we also have the SLPA that we had the resignation for. Does that also get covered by this contract, or that does not? Because it's not an SLP. Okay.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All in favor of approving the contract, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6.4, second reading of policies.
Yes, there were no changes from the first reading, but I want to emphasize DFK, that's 6.4.1. Approving this change would be removing this policy, and that's the endowment fund, which is no longer needed because we established Arrow Education Foundation since the adoption of this policy. So your motion would be to remove DFK, the endowment fund.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to end the DFK endowment fund.
Move that we remove the DFK endowment fund policy.
Okay, motion by Rossman,
Second.
second by Rammel. Questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6.4.2.
Okay, DI is the fiscal accounting and reporting, no changes to that from the first reading.
Okay, entertain a motion to approve the continuation of policy DI.
Make a motion to approve the eyes.
Okay, motion by Lohr,
Second.
second by Moulton. Questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6.4.3, DIE audit.
Yes, we will not tell the auditors that our policy for them is DIE, but this was simply a review so there were no changes even at the first reading level. We are just, and for the public and the audience, we are audited every year. Our books are audited every single year, and that's what this pertains to.
Okay, that's an unfortunate combination of
Yes.
letters.
Had to be some policy.
Yeah. Okay, entertain a motion to approve this policy.
I move to approve the DIE audit policy.
Okay, motion by Rammel,
Second.
second by Rossman. Questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6.4.4.
Yes, DLB, tax sheltered annuities. Again, this was a review. Those are just eligible plans for our employees.
Okay. Entertain a motion to continue the policy or the procedure as it's written.
I move we approve DLB as explained.
Motion by Moulton,
Second.
second by Laura. Any questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 6.5.
Yes. We have typically every year at our annual meeting in July, we designate the official newspaper. We did do that in July this year, and we are bringing forward to you a change to that designation and recommending the Watertown Current be designated as the official newspaper of the Watertown School District. The reason why we were unable to bring the Watertown Current in July, and I will read to you from State Statute 17-2-2.1, no publication is a legal newspaper for publishing legal and other official notices unless for at least 1 year prior to publication of such notices, the publication is printed in the English language and contains at least 4 pages per issue with at least 120 square inches of printed matter per page. And if the publication is a daily, is distributed in either print or electronic format or both at least 5 days a week, or if not a daily, is distributed in either print or electronic format or both at least once each week for at least 50 weeks each year. In any week in which there is a legal holiday, no more than 4 issues of a daily newspaper are necessary. So, the Watertown Current published its first edition on October 11th, 2024. So it would not be eligible for this designation until October 11th, 2025. So we are recommending designating the Watertown Current as the official newspaper of the Watertown School District, beginning with the minutes from the October board meeting. So your motion tonight would not, so the September minutes would still be in the public opinion. Any notices leading up to the October board meeting would still be published in the public opinion. And then if you approve this motion, then the October board minutes would be the first legal notices published in the Watertown Current. So that is our recommendation before you.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Watertown Current as the official newspaper.
I move we approve the Watertown Current as the current newspaper for October, beginning in October, as
Motion.
explained.
Motion by Moulton,
Second.
second by Laura. Any questions, comments? There's no legal there's no legal hurdle to go through in removing ourselves from the public opinion.
Correct. What the only legal hurdle would be is if the Current did not meet the legal definition of a legal newspaper. They do meet that criteria, so that you are able, if you so chose, you could designate a different paper every month if you wanted to. The requirement is that you do need to designate one at your annual meeting. We followed that requirement, and in doing this, we are still meeting the requirement that you have, which is denoting a legal newspaper. And by setting the date, we have then allowed the Current to become an official newspaper. So, to my knowledge, and I did run this through our legal counsel in terms of getting it right and for the dates and how we do this, I believe that we are accurate in that.
Okay, good. Any other questions or comments? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We are now 6.6, student enrollment requests.
We have 5 open enrollments for your consideration and are recommending their approval.
Okay, entertain a motion to approve the open enrollment requests.
Move that we approve all of the recommended open enrollment requests.
Okay, Roche. Motion by Rossman,
Second.
second by Lohr. Any questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6.6.2.
We do have 2 132810s for your consideration. Recommend approval.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve these 13-28-10 requests.
A motion to approve the 13-28-10s.
Okay, motion by Lore,
Second.
second by Moulton. Questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 7.1, administrative reports.
Yeah, a couple of announcements. One, I mentioned it last month as well, but the Suicide Prevention Walk is on Saturday, September 13th, sponsored by Glacial Lakes Safe. If you want a yard sign, I bet you one of the board members could get you one of those. Join on, what was it, a 20-mile ruck? Ooh, if you want to do a 20-mile ruck all the way down to, is 3 the shortest distance, or is there a 5K? Yeah. On Saturday, so feel free to join. We have homecoming week coming up, the week of September 22nd through the 26th. The Legend on Monday, September 22nd. 7 or 7:30, Miss McClemens? Sorry to put you on the spot. Powder Puff football on the 25th. It's probably also at the same time when we get that. And then the one I do know is the parade on September 26th. That is with a 12:30 dismissal. The timing of it for the week, we actually have an early dismissal on September 24th as well as scheduled for staff in service. So that'll be a fun week coming up. We are looking forward to our first homecoming in Allen Mitchell Athletic Complex. We had a great grand opening. Big thanks to Mr. Boyens and all the folks who made that possible. It was really overwhelming to spend time with Allen Mitchell's family. His 2 children were there and walked the game ball out to the officials, and they were just they want to pass along the appreciation to the board and the community for the honor bestowed upon their father. It was a really great experience. So looking forward to more events in there. I think there's actually one going on right now.
There is.
Some JV football.
Mm-hmm.
Did we get a time yet? Probably too early. Sorry, I should have. I tried to look it up beforehand and struck out. And then to the board. Well, actually, one other announcement. So we are. We've mentioned it a couple different times, but appreciate the grant from First Interstate Bank for the We Are All Arrows murals. The last one was completed over Labor Day weekend at Millette Elementary. And so now all 7 of our schools have the We Are All Arrows somewhere in their building. The intermediate school and the high school are more in gathering spaces in the Arrow Zone at the intermediate school and the lunchroom here at the high school. All the other 5 schools are in their gyms. So those have been great. A big shout out to our artist, the mural guy, Dave Fuller. He's been great to work with, and got them done under our time framework. So we appreciate that. And then to the board. So Native American Day was declared a district holiday this year, which means all offices are closed. That would be the 2nd Monday in October. So we are requesting a board meeting change to Tuesday, October 14th, still at 5:30. If you're okay with that. It doesn't require a motion. It would just be that our publications would be, that would be our public notice is the 14th. And then planning ahead, we typically do a fall planning meeting, kind of to look at some capital outlay projects, things in the 5-year capital outlay plan. We are requesting Wednesday, October 29th at 5 p.m. for that. That would be here. And I will send the board members further communication about that, and those notices would also get published. Those would get published in the Current, Brandon. But just noting those changes change in addition to our board schedule. 7:30 for the Legend on that Monday. But I think Powder Puff's actually, is that 6? Sorry, put you on a wild
Yeah.
goose chase again. We'll get information out on that, so. Yes, it'll be posted. Look for that on the high school website. That's what I have, Mr. President.
Okay. Board reports to the superintendent. I would like to just say, well done to the administration for all the things on both the open house and then the first football game. It was really fun to see people and the big smiles on their faces about, they're really impressed with the facility. And like you said, the Mitchell family was so appreciative of the recognition and kind of reminding us again of what their father did for all of his years in Watertown.
And if I think I remember, you had mentioned you actually overlapped with him just
Alan
for a
Mitchell
little
and
bit.
my first year I overlapped with Alan, yeah. So Mitch is what everybody called him. And students, yeah, the students really, really liked him. Good man, good teacher. School board, you know, as long as you have your planners out for that Wednesday, the 29th, make sure to also write down the 30th, the 12 to 2 o'clock meeting with LATC. So, busy school board week there. Anything else? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Motion by Moulton. Second? Second by Laura. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. We are adjourned.
Thanks, everybody.